shadows are devoured by even darker shadows, the curtain pulls back and reveals a world without light!
What's going on, guys? This is Trbailey823 here. I'm playing against Nekroz here, and I opened up pretty good in this game. Obviously, opening tour guide unopposed without Baylor or Maxi is always pretty good. So I start off with the standard, tour guide into graph, hit Dante, get Dante. We graph into Skarm here, and we will send the Skarm to the graveyard with Foolish Burial. Or, I'm sorry, we're gonna send the graph or the Seer one more time. I'll say it right this time. It's Seer that I'm sending. Seer's gonna special back the graph since I have Skarm in play, and I'm just gonna overlay and make a second copy of Dante. We're gonna mill. So we have no idea what the matchup is. We mill 3 here, just trying to find Fire Lake just in case it's a Clyforts, and we did find it. So if this is Clyforts, that certainly would be pretty awesome here. We're gonna go end phase with Skarm, and we're gonna add Seer to our hand because we have a graph underneath one of the Dantes. The other's a tour guide, as you remember, so we'll pass to our opponent. Like to look in the watchers chat. Some fun stuff's always said. Interesting things. Sometimes it just makes me laugh. Some of the things that are said in watchers chat. So I like to watch the watchers chat, I guess you could say. He's taking kind of a minute here to play. By the way, I sped this duel up. This is 3 times the speed. It normally would have been a 42-minute video, but we've condensed it down to about 15 minutes. So he opens up the Brio for Unicorn. So obviously, at this point he's playing Nekroz. I like to flip the vanities here because I have double Dante. And I want to force any answers early because I have the answers for just about everything set. It allows me to set up for the following turn. He unicorns back for Bria, so he has a play next turn. Obviously, that read is clear that he has that. I use the Dante that doesn't have the graph underneath it because I don't want graph to just not work under vanity. But we end up milling 3, and we kind of hit the gold mine there. We hit Skarm and Libic off of it, so we get to get graph and that. So I'll special summon the Libic or the Rubik from my hand, and then special summon the Farfa from the deck. So then we normal summon the Seer, synchro summon into Virgil. Seer will bring back graph. I think about the Skarm for a second. I was like, what am I talking about? It's just graph. Graph's more versatile. It can be either or. I overlay into Met-Quipped. There's still a chance it's not Valkyris. I didn't see him at it, so we'll try to just go for game. Obviously, Met-Quipped can negate the battle, so I can drop him to 500 if he even has Valk. He does here, so I'll detach the graph, and we'll keep our battle going through. I want to have the Met-Quipped to use Farfa on my opponent's turn to prevent Brionic. The end phase, I'll use Skarm to search for another copy of Seer because I still have the Regeki break set, and I'll pass to my opponent. Obviously, he doesn't have a field, so he gets to use the graveyard effect to search for a ritual spell card from his deck. By doing so, it allows him to obviously ritual from his hand, but it gives him more options. This is a chance that he could use 2 to 3 ritual spells this turn, because obviously the one he had was Kaleidoscope. We know he has Unicorn in his hand, or at least we can assume he does, or we'll get it off of this Manju here. I never negate the effects of any of the Manju or Senjus. The biggest reason why I don't do so is because by doing that you set yourself up to lose if your opponent already has the card in their hand. When it's easier, they can only use 3 ritual spells per turn anyways. You might as well just answer those. So he adds the Valkyris, so I know he has it. We're going to Regeki break that Unicorn. That way he can't make Abyss Dweller. He does have Trishula, and this is where I make a pretty big mistake, I think. I use Seer's effect here, and I special summon Graph, and then I use Graph to bring out Farfa. This is a pretty crucial mistake in this point in the game. It lets the game extend farther than it should for sure. I hit the Unicorn with the Farfa instead of just using the Farfa on the Met-Quipped. That was a pretty big mistake. It made it to where I couldn't Skarm for Tour Guide, and there's only 1 Tour Guide left in my deck, so it would have been huge. Obviously, he's going to summon Brionic if possible, so we have the Book of Moon. Luckily, he already discarded the Trishula, but just in case he played a second copy, I changed the Book of Moon in response to Charit. So that makes his Manju end up attacking my my Engineer anyways. So obviously this is huge because Engineer we know can negate Valkyr's effect essentially. I played 2 copies of it in my extra deck, so this should have been game. I drew Dark Hole and just kind of got a little excited and just played it right off the bat. I had a breakthrough skill in the graveyard, so I probably should have thought about this a little bit more. But I think in the end I would have ended up using Dark Hole. I think he makes a pretty critical error here by using the Gungnir to save it. I forget that Gungnir works on the whole game. So like I said, this game's really messed up because I made a huge mistake. Because I should have it. I should have had this game with the Met equipped for Tour Guide. So I normal summon Seer and special summon Skarm from my hand, and overlay into a Dante. Yeah, that's what I believe I do. I do make a Dante here. I'm considering a couple different options because I know he has that in his hand. I end up making the Dante because the play doesn't allow it. So I Seer, I mill 1, hit my last Tour Guide. That kind of sucks, but this is my own fault. I should get punished for it. And the game extends even further with him at 300 life. I should have won very easily the turn previously, but or this turn very easily, but I messed up. Obviously, he uses Valk to negate. Luckily, he forgot too, because my plan was to force him to have to Valk there, so he'd have 1 less card in his hand. But obviously, let's be real here, there was no reason for that to happen. But then again, we'll see how this ends up just kind of playing out here. Actually, Zach, he had the Gungnir because he had to have Gungnir and that, because if he didn't have Gungnir, I could have made Met equipped and killed him. Yeah, we were discussing whether that Gungnir was a mistake, and actually I just realized it was not. He had to do so. Otherwise, Unicorn wouldn't be able to negate a second Met equipped, although he's not sure that I play that. To my surprise, he was able to make a Trishula play. That was kind of unfortunate for me. So now I'm in a position where I think there's a good chance I actually just lose this game because of my mistake. But the game continues, and I draw Vanity. Nothing I could do here. It's not worth attacking into it without a real answer, so I pass. I want him to attack me, because I want to be able to board Preg him back. And at this point, I didn't realize I'd milled the 3rd Tour Guide. I just milled one off the top and didn't notice it was Tour Guide. So yeah, all 3 are in the grave. And as you can see on the bottom right, there's a breakthrough skill. So I shouldn't have been too hasty on the thing. I drew the Karma Cut, so I knew that it was time to just go ahead and take myself out with that play. So I go ahead and use the Dante to add a Seer, and then obviously the opposite, its counterpart Graph, will be added to my hand at the end phase by the effect of Skarm. At this point, I feel pretty secure in my chances of winning this duel. So I passed my opponent. He uses, if I'm not mistaken, he uses MST on the end phase here, yes, and I'm really hoping to God that he hits the Vanities, because it would have been devastating if he hit the other card. But luckily for me, he hit the Vanities instead of the Karma Cut, and that changes everything. So at this point, I'm pretty sure, I'm secure about the fact that I believe I'm going to win this game. At this point, he uses a Brionic, and at this point, I'm just like, cool, this game is just about over. We'll see his last attempt to win the game, and it'll be my turn. I'll Karma Cut whatever he plays, and it's over. Most people only play 1 Trish, except this guy. So he plays a 2nd Trish, so it changes everything. Still, it's not appropriate to go, even if he didn't have the Trishula, he's going to go into battle phase here with just the Trish as soon as he gets done thinking. It's not appropriate to Karma Cut there whether he has Trish or not, because then he can set up more plays. It's always appropriate to do that on the end phase if you can. I don't die, obviously. I was at 7,800 life points. I felt pretty good about that. End phase, I go ahead and use the Karma Cut, because it's like, I just need a special anyways. I assumed that he was going to activate, I really did. I thought he was going to activate the Trish. I also figured that would make it to where I couldn't get Trish for the rest of the game. But then he thought about it, and I guess he just realized that he wouldn't be able to Trish for the rest of the game, so he elected to just let it go. It was a difficult decision, but I can understand why he did it. I've already used a Met equipped. There's no guarantee I play a 2nd copy, but unfortunately for him, I do. I'm being a little extra here because I'm like, man, I need that Libic. And so I'm thinking about my play here. It's kind of obvious. So I normal summon the Seer, overlay into my 2nd copy of Met equipped. I made sure there was a Libic in my graveyard, even though I could just do the same thing with Dante. And I attack. Obviously, I stop the battle phase from ending, and I sear for a Libic. Libic dies, and then out comes Scar. Attack for game. Should have been Dante. That was stupid. No way around that. That's just dumb. But I knew I won the game. Didn't really matter there, I guess. It would have been the exact same result, but it doesn't really change anything. So obviously, it's time to side deck. I take out a Libic, 2 Raigeki Break, 2 Phoenix Wing, and 2 Fire Lake, because Fire Lake is not that good against this deck. Phoenix Wing and Raigeki Break are both good situationally. I wouldn't mind drawing either of them, so I leave one of each in. That's how I go with that one. Bring in 2 Nightmare, 3 Shared Ride, and 2 Effect Veiler. So obviously he gets to choose. Clearly he's going to choose to go second. I mean, he's playing Nekroz, and I open a very strong hand. Right here, I already know I'm opening up Dante with Engineer no matter what the situation. So I feel pretty strong. But I'm about to feel a little stronger because my mill is pretty cute. I end up hitting my friend Sear there, so I get to save the one in my hand. So that's always nice when you get free bonuses. The guys kind of probably think, wow, but I mean, I still had the Engineer play. I don't think in the long run it would have changed anything in this game. So I mean, that's just kind of how it is. I set the Shared Ride in the Nightmare, and I have a Veiler in my hand, so I kind of get to hit all 3 mirrors because Engineer with Farfa, I have Veiler, and I have Trap Trick Trapple Nightmare. Trap Trick Trapple Nightmare is really cool. It doesn't target. Oh, he summons a Denko Sekka. That kind of bothers me. I consider Veilering for a second, but I know it's just time to go ahead and let that guy bite the dust. We'll Farfa that guy out of play. I'd rather deal with him later. He discards Bryonic, and I change Shared Ride as soon as he's done discussing that Denko thing. So I change Shared Ride. He takes kind of a long time deciding what he wants to do, so I just kind of screw around for a second, look in the Watcher's chat here and there, thinking about drawing a card. Got kind of a bit of a compliment there. I forget to draw off Shared Ride, and I noticed that he goes straight to the end phase. So I draw for turn, and then I say, oh, I should have drawn off Shared Ride, so I draw again. So I use the effect of Dante to mill 3, and I hit Graph. Obviously, he had a Valkyries to his hand, and I assumed it was to protect Denko. As you know, I have a Graph underneath the Engineer there, but there's always a chance he chooses not to Valk. So I go ahead and attack. He does Valk. I'll detach with Engineer, and the battle will continue. My Dante goes through. Now I overlay into 2 Downards. That's kind of a mistake. There's really no reason to stack Downard on top of Mech Whipped, so I really should not have done that. That was kind of just dumb. There's no reason to. If he wants to Brio me, then that's fine. The end phase and the end turn button are right next to each other. That's really annoying. Every now and again that happens to me where I accidentally hit the end turn button, my opponent draws, and I'm like, I'm getting a Scarm Search because I meant to go with the end phase. That happens on DN quite frequently. It's kind of annoying. So obviously here our friend has Unicore, and I have the answer for just about anything. I'm expecting Effect Veiler Trishula to come. Or I'm sorry, I'm expecting Abyss Dweller Trishula to come down, and I'm okay with that. So he starts out by activating Life. I'm pretty sure the Trish is coming. That's not a problem. He activates Trish's effect, and I use Trap Trick's Trapple Nightmare. I was surprised that he didn't make Dweller first, but I had the answer for the Dweller. That didn't really bother me. He searches for Bryonic instead of Trish, because we know he plays the second one. He ends up making Ragna Zero, so this ends up working out well for him. Because he makes the Ragna Zero instead of the Dweller, which he knows couldn't do much. I'll use that to add a Farfa to my hand, which is why he hit the Dante first. The one with Dante, that's actually correct, because he was looking to see what I add. He adds that to his hand, and it's my turn, and he goes ahead and does that. That's a misplay early. I have the Dark Hole, so it wouldn't have mattered anyways. He ends up just scooping at this point, and it was game that turn. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.